Hola, mis amigos. Hey, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Awesome, where we talk about the market and I take your requests. So we'll get to there here in just a few minutes. We're going to do this for about an hour, and then we'll kick off the members only stream right at 6 o'clock. So we'll get that started here. I actually remembered to set the timer right at the beginning instead of blabbing for like 10 minutes and then be like, oh man. Anyway, welcome everybody, and I'll try to help you make some money. We've got Tesla earnings coming up tomorrow. We got FOMC tomorrow, so be careful. Volatility tomorrow. We've got $5,000 gold. I mean, just kind of blew through. We're already at getting close to 5,200 gold now, and just amazing stuff. So before we talk any trades or anything, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, and entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument, including stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. Basically, if you trade any financial instruments, you might lose money. If you buy anything from a guru, including me, you might lose money because, well, I mean, we're just all people putting out stuff, trying to make some of your money, or some of your money, some of my money. And I do appreciate everybody supporting the channel that's here. Make sure you subscribe so you can chat. Kimberly, my favorite subscriber in the chat right there. Say hey to her. So, 5,000 gold. How high do we go? Roll the dice. Nobody knows. It's a crazy, wild ride here. Crazy, wild ride. So, absolutely nuts, actually, on the gold. Gold, gold, gold. Look at this chart. It's poking up through the fib line. Tagged it. Got it. What's the next one up? I mean, holy bananas. 51 seemed like a stretch, but here we are. Only took 3 months from the last one. Boom. Next one up. 9,000. Holy bananas. Keep seeing 6,000 gold as the next target since we've breached 5,000, almost to 5,200. And, you know, it's going to stop, but I mean, probably there's already been tons of money lost shorting gold and silver. Where the actual top is, nobody really knows. All right. If silver catches up to gold, this is the crazy thing. Silver tagged the 1618. People didn't think it would get there. Only took it a month to go from that fib line to this fib line. I mean, absolutely crazy. That's the next one. And we catch up to gold somewhere up in here. Somewhere up in here. If we go to the historic ratio between gold and silver, 15-1. And right now, that ratio is quickly heading that way. Divided by SI1, exclamation points. Look at this. It's on a tear. Hadn't been down to 15-1 since way back over here. Can we go back there? I mean, just right here, February 2011, we were down there at a 30. Some people say, nah, we'll never get back down there again. But if we do, consider this. Just consider this. If we take 5,000, basically 5,200 gold, pretty close. 15-1. Why 15-1? That's the historic ratio of gold to silver in the Earth's crust. Price has been suppressed for a long time. That would be roughly $346 if gold doesn't move anymore. Now, gold's probably going to ride along. I don't know if they can get to the ratio, but right now, if gold just sat still, treaded water, paddled in place, talking about 346 on silver. Just for this to get back down here. Now, I'm not saying we can or we will, but that would be a 5,000 year long historical ratio of gold to silver. Right there. We've had it elevated for a long time. After we get down there, it'll probably come back up. But if we go touch historic ratio, gold to silver, 15-1. That'd be a wild ride. No, there's probably going to be some epic swings on the road to that. That move right there, not sustainable. Last time we saw something like that, didn't hang on. But this one could dwarf anything we've seen before. So definitely watch out. Just puts us right up in here, right up in that 272 fib. And you're wondering, well, what does gold look like? It's already up at the 2618 off of this last swing. So gold is further along climbing the fib ladder. But we could do crazy things. And I talked about before that if fiat kind of blows out, we could see this. We could see gold up in the 25,000 if we actually priced everything back to, pricing world assets in gold instead of in US dollars. Gold could be 5 times higher, and then silver would be ridiculously higher from there. And dollars would be worth nothing, basically, because that's what's happening right now. Like, why is everything being crazy in terms of dollars? Because dollars are going down the toilet right now. Dollars are flushing down the toilet. Be like, well, dollars were lower before. Except we have a different macro environment going on right now where people aren't holding dollars. They're holding gold. Trump says dollar's fine. It's being strong, never stronger. That doesn't look like strong dollar to me. That looks like the lowest price we've had on the dollar in 4 years. And we almost got down to the 95.3 where I thought we would. I kind of think we might find some support right here. If we don't, we're coming on down here. Possibly we bounce for a week or 2 or 3, maybe a couple months, and then do a final flush down here in the 93, 94 area. We're already lower than September. I said once we get below 98.5, we're going below September's low. Did it. Got it. Check. Made that, we satisfied that. I talked about that for weeks. Wrote it up here. Months, I guess, maybe. I talked about how once we broke down below 98.5, we were going lower than September's low. Got it. Boom shakalaka. That worked. Now, a reversal can kick off anytime now. But this is a potential 1, 2, 3. This would be a 4 and a 5. So, the more the dollar flushes, the higher oil, gold, silver get pushed. Kind of crazy right now. And yeah, it's part of the Japan thing. So Japan, the threat was Japan, the Bank of Japan was going to have to dump U.S. treasuries. This all ties back to treasury rates. All right. Japan was going to dump treasuries to keep their economy solvent. And because of that, yen was going like this. And maybe because yen was going like that, they were going to have to dump their treasuries. If they dump their treasuries, guess what? Demand for new treasuries, we're creating 40, we're creating $40 billion worth of treasuries every week right now, 40 billion. So we need somewhere to sell those to. If Japan suddenly dumps like 5 trillion of treasuries on the market, that kind of dwarfs 40 billion that we sell a week. And the treasury rate goes like this. I drew this back over here back in 2022. I didn't know when it was going to happen or how it was going to happen. I put a question mark on how long this was going to take to play out. What was going to cause it? I don't know. I mean, Goose is here in the chat. You can comment. I haven't really known what was going to cause the treasury rate to spike, but I've been talking about it for freaking 4 years that something might cause the treasury rate to spike. If Japan dumps treasuries, treasury rate spikes. What does the Fed do? The Fed and their Fed funds rate, FOMC, always chases the treasury rate. At least as long as I've been trading, since the late 90s here, always been chasing the treasury rate. Treasury rate's in blue, Fed funds rate is orange. If you thought the Fed set the rate, guess what? Got another thing to tell you. So the Fed chases the treasury rate. Now, the reason they can't cut this week or tomorrow, they're sitting at the treasury rate. There's a threat that Japan might dump treasuries. And then if they cut again, they'd be below the treasury rate and then have to turn around and raise the rates. Maybe even an emergency rate raise. Also, at the same time, Europe was threatening some kind of nuclear option for dealing with the US and Greenland and Trump, and threatening to dump another like $2 trillion in US treasuries. Same effect. And we're trying to sell 40 billion a week. And they're talking about dumping 2 trillion on the market, absolutely destroy the dollar, and cause treasuries to go higher. Now, these are threats. Are they going to play out? I don't know. But the Bank of Japan, or the Minister of Finance for Japan, calls up the Treasury. Here in the United States, the Treasury Secretary says, hey, we got a problem. We might have to dump treasuries. He says, hey, let me see what I can do. Calls up the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell says, hey, call the member banks, all the big ones, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, you name it. Call the big banks and ask for a quote for buying yen. This is the Federal Reserve now. Federal Reserve going to buy yen. Maybe even the Treasury buying yen. So they asked for this quote. And right now, this happened starting Friday. This started happening. The big banks started quoting yen, and yen started popping. You can see it right here. This is yen price, dollars priced in yen dropping. So that means yen popping. Go back to candle charts. You can see right here. Friday, Monday, today. Still going on. Yen dumping. Or, US dollar yen dumping, which means yen is getting stronger. Just on the potential rumor that the Fed and or Treasury might buy a big chunk of yen. Already a 4% move right there. 4% move. That's causing dollars to dump. It's also causing euros to skyrocket. Causes the pound dollar and the odd Aussie dollar spike. Oop, typed that wrong. GBP, Great British Pound. I typed it backwards. And Oanda, Forex.com. There you go. Pound dollar popping. So it's causing dollars to get weak in the face of all the other currencies, causing these spikes. Now, you may be like, well, how do you play something like that? You've got like FXB for the pound. You've got FXE for the euro. You've got FXY for the yen. And you got UUP for the dollar index. Right there. So those are ways you can play. But we might be nearing the end of the plummet here. This has already been in progress for a while. This could be the finality move and flip around to a strong dollar. Now, look at the big ABC that started back here in 2022. There was A, there was B, there was C. Why is this having a strong effect on gold and silver right now? Because we've kind of hit the tipping point. This has more push in gold and silver right now. Dollar's dumping, has more push in gold and silver right now than it has in a long time. Hasn't really affected other risk on assets. Now, the other interesting thing to take a quick peek at, see, Japan stock market hasn't really stumbled, hasn't really moved, hasn't really popped, hadn't really dropped in this dollar yen chaos right here. Just kind of hovering. This is priced in USD. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Hasn't really moved. Now, if this starts breaking down, well, this is a global liquidity indicator for me anyway. That's the way I look at it. If this starts breaking down, this is the Japanese stock market, we will probably see risk on assets such as these and S&P and Nasdaq take a bath. So these will get punished even more. These are the risks in the market right now with $5,000 gold. Those are the things that I haven't really heard I haven't seen any financial mainstream media people talking about this. Maybe they are. You can let me know in the chat, but it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. And Tesla. Got Tesla earnings coming up tomorrow. With this drop in earnings, the potential for a pop seems elevated. I'll talk about it in the morning, but 70% of the time, we typically get a drop on earnings. If you go back the last, I think I'm up to 9 years now. I've been talking about this 2 years. Had like 7 years before that, so I'm up to 9 or 10 years now. 70% of the time we drop. That leaves 30% of the time we pop. The drop's usually somewhere around 13 to 20% roughly. I'll have the averages and everything in the morning. The pops are usually 50+% though. So 70% that we drop, 30%-ish, a little less. It's a little more than 70 and a little less than 30 that we pop. The pop side tends to be a much bigger pop. Now, why would it pop? That's a good question, because right now we know car sales are down. They're not going to have big car sales probably for the next 18 months or so until they kind of recover. Then, we pulled forward all this demand as the U.S. rebate expired at the end of September. Pulled all that demand forward. Now it's just back into replacement cycle. How long does it take for the replacement cycle to catch up to the demand that we pulled forward? Wrecks and totals and just wearing the car out and want a new car or whatever. I don't know. It could take a while. And then at the whole same time, you got 3 new models supposed to hit the market this year. Which 3 is up for debate? Looks like Cybercab, the gold car probably going to hit the road. We've got Tesla Semi. And they just announced a partnership with Pilot Flying J today. Going to have 35 travel centers supporting that charging and with the potential to roll out to all Pilot Flying J's in the future. I think it's what the press release I read, or the version I read said. And then the third car, some people expect the Roadster. It looks like they're going to debut the Roadster, but I don't know if it goes into production this year or not. So I'm not sure what the third vehicle they're talking about, but then you have the Optimus robot that should enter some sort of production. Is that a vehicle? Is it just a novelty? I don't know. It's supposed to produce up to something like 10,000 of those this year. I don't know. I think they'll be lucky to get 1,000 made, but that's my evaluation on it. Full self-driving, pretty much here. 93% of my driving has been handled by the computer in the car for the last over 600 miles since they introduced version 14. And I'm about to do a big test coming up weekend after next. On February 8th. Got to get up in the morning, get in the Cybertruck, tell it to drive me to Jacksonville, Florida, and see if it can get all the way there without me having to take over at all. So that'd be interesting. Gonna test it out. See if it can get me down to Jacksonville with just me getting out to plug it in at the charging stops. So be interesting. I was calculating it up. If I flew to Jacksonville, it was going to take at least 9 hours, is what I calculated, from door to door, including getting a ride to the airport, going through security. And this was being like pretty aggressive on the timeline. You know, layover in Atlanta because there's no direct flights to Jacksonville. Flight to Jacksonville, get my crap, get in, either renting a car or getting an Uber and driving down to the hotel. Probably going to take me 9 hours to do that. And with charging stops, estimated 11 hours. So roughly the same amount of time either way. So I'll be down there, have my truck, and it's way more convenient. I could actually, I have like 8 or 10 pocket knives on myself at any given, 8 or 10 blades, I should say, on myself at any given time. Whenever I go through the airport, I always feel naked because I have no blade. You know, can't take any pocket knives with me. So no blades, no multi-tool. And yeah. So we'll see how for short haul stuff, it may be better than flying. We'll see how it works. So that'll be a big test coming up. And so we got those earnings tomorrow. I'll talk about that in the morning. Other thing, the FOMC, kind of briefly touched on this. I don't think anything's changing. Like, that's Fed decision pretty much locked in at no change. 99% right here on Polymarket. You could bet no right here. If you think if you think they're gonna change anything, you could bet no right here and come out pretty good. Cost you 6 cents or 0.6 cents to bet no. Potential payout 95.5 cents. So you put $20 on it and walk away pretty good. If they made any change. Unlikely though. The market's been pretty good at this. So unlikely to change a darn thing. Coming up in March though. Maybe a decrease. Maybe holding steady. You know, this looks like the steady bet here too. So we'll see what Powell says tomorrow afternoon. He'll speak at 2:30. So that's the caution about tomorrow. If there's any surprises, which I wouldn't expect, but that's not going to... El Presidento Trumpo is not going to be very happy with no rate change. So we'll have that conference 2:30, and we'll see what Powell says, how they change the dot plots. I tentatively plan to do a member-only stream tomorrow, right there. So if you're a channel member, you got a green name with a little star by your name in the chat, I plan on doing an FOMC meeting thing. Probably go live about I usually go live about 1:55. We roll through the FOMC announcement. Just kind of, I make a couple guesses at price action. And then sometimes we hang out till the popular vote lately seems to, everybody likes to stay at least through the beginning of Powell's speech. Lately it's been pretty boring. I think with no rate change at all, it's going to be really boring, but might be like watching paint dry. Right now, the gamma exposure map kind of predicts that we're going to see some upside in QQQ out till Friday. The SPY also kind of in the same boat. I'll go through that more in the morning. You know, these are after hours, and the gamma exposure gets a little crazy, but the bubble kind of heading in the up and to the right between now and Friday. So big range, and if we just sat in the middle of the range right up here, pushes up to about 7,000 on SPX, 700 on SPY, and that's kind of the outlook for the week right there in a nutshell. We do have some other big tech earnings coming up. Was it Apple coming up on Thursday? Amazon, that's next week. Meta is also next week. No, Meta's this week. I think Microsoft next week. Microsoft is also this week. So Microsoft also tomorrow. So big chunk of big tech. And gonna be spicy. This might be the more spicy thing tomorrow than the FOMC meeting, the earnings, big tech earnings. So even if you play the beer money trade, remember your exposure stops at the market close if you're playing the 0 days. On IndieX, if you're playing on QQQ, it still trades after the market closes. So one other interesting thing, they introduced these new options right here, and they had them for the Mag 7s. That's Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google, NVIDIA, Tesla. And they also added AVGO, IBIT, Silver, SLV, added a few things there. So they're 3 times a week now, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but they won't have an OPEX on expiration day for companies like Tesla, Apple. So even when we roll out here to April, the next earnings cycle, we won't have an OPEX on the day they report earnings. So that'll be interesting. See how that plays out. And that's universal for all the companies. That's like a Nasdaq rule right now, is that even if we go to daily options, they won't have options on earnings days. You can let me know what you think about that in the chat. So we're down to that period of time. I'll do at least 30 minutes of request here. Looks like we've got about 33 minutes left on the timer before we switch over to member only stream. So I'll take requests. Rules of the request go: use capital letters, 1 request per person per request. Let a couple people go, at least 1, maybe 2, 3 people. Be kind to your fellow channel subscribers and members here. Remember, members, you can ask everything you want to ask after we switch to members only stream. So be kind to the subscribers, and I'll just kind of roll through the list. If we get down to the end and we switch over to members only, I'll keep hitting the list, even from just subscribers. So if you want to be a channel member, you can upgrade and get your ticker reviewed. I'll just hit the daily time frame for most of them, unless it's really, really, something catches my eye or something like that. And then, things I review every morning, which are right over here: S&P, Russell, oil, gold, Bitcoin, Ethereum, dollar, Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Tesla, Netflix. I'm not going to spend much time going over those because I go over them every single morning, every single day. So you can watch the morning stream and catch up on those. And I'll do my best to pick up as many as I can here. So GILD, boom, it's at the target. Watch out. That's the last pullback. Bounced off the roadmap line. Ground up, and 1618. Can it go higher? Sure. 164, 179, but due for a retrace. And just kind of rode the roadmap line right up in there and then pop. So it's in the biotech sector. Biotech doesn't always flow with everything else. So I even have a button for that. Be careful. Anything the Food and Drug Administration in the United States gets involved in, that's biotech, pharma, med specialty, med tech, even United Healthcare. Be careful. The patterns don't always follow through. Should work, but doesn't always work. So, Rambus. So, can they compete in this market for RAM or not? So far, not really a big competitor. I mean, not doing like SK Hynix took off today. Absolute rocket ship on their partnership with whoever it was. Microsoft, I think it was. This already popped, 1272. Likely to come back to the roadmap line. So, Xenom, rocket ship out. Can we get more? So, small time frame, daily bounce, hit the target. Zooming out a little bit, looking at it. Zoom doesn't look so hot. Looks like a 3-wave. Kind of move that high, that low. resistance right up here at 107. And if we hit that, especially in this diagonally thing we got going on, watch out for trend, pullback, continuation. CLX, Clorox, it is Clorox. Hitting the roadmap line from the bottom. Trend, pullback, potential continuation. And in case you don't know what that looks like, it looks like this. Trend, pullback, continuation. Looking for this to hold in here and turn higher, but be careful on Clorox. That could lead to a lower low. Could it be done? That's a good question. Jump up to the weekly chart. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. It looks like we got lower to go. 84, maybe on the downside for Clorox. Palantir. And we're back to the roadmap line. Still been expecting this to extend right down here. It set up the entry to go long, but because this hadn't done a correction in a freaking long time, I've been cautioning that if we get below the roadmap line, probably coming down lower low right down in here. I've actually got my alert sitting there at 130, and that would kind of look normal. Now the pullback right back here, that would be a bigger pullback if we kind of match that one. That's back to my echo trade theory of market moving, where we do similar moves up, similar retraces, similar moves up, similar retraces. But if we just match that pullback again, support could be here, and we go higher again. Boeing, nothing's changed here. It's probably due for a retrace the roadmap line, but has a bigger upside potential. And I have a much more involved chart on this one. Let's turn off the Apollo right there. So if this plays out, we're coming up into resistance, but this did overlap, so it's probably more of a 1, 2, potential to get 3. I don't have the fib lines on the right thing here. Yeah, somewhere up in this zone. Probably pull back, move on up, pull back, move up, pull back, then potential final move. And that could be way out in the 2030s or 2040s. It's kind of the path for the next several years. I'm glad to see we didn't continue that downside here. So that's 5 up, retrace, first move up, retrace, next move up, put somewhere up in here. But that it'll probably get another retrace in here or 2 along the way. That's Boeing. Moving on, XLE. Well, that bounced and move it up. There's the day the chart bounce right up to through extensions. So LXLE looking a little played out for the moment on current bounces. Looking at bigger picture bounces. Weekly chart bounce would be the name of the game. Here's the high, here's the low, and we still have 51 and 53 upside to go for XLE. Core Z. Held on to the roadmap line. That's at least positive. Here's the high, here's the low. Poking through the roadmap line, or poking through the 618 here. Roadmap bounce. Potential to come up to 25, 54. Resistance right in there. Maybe 27, 33. But highly likely to get another retrace after we finish this pop right in here. Spotify. Ooh, man, right down to the 501. Can we hold on to that 1618? Or are we going to drop some more? So first move down, retrace. Next move down. Oh, is that... which one's higher? I have to check on this. There's a high right there. High 48.30. And... ah, so that one was higher. Yeah, a little bit higher. A little bit higher now. All right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is potentially done. Hit the 1618. So potential for this to find a bottom right here. This be complete. A, B, C. 5 down on the C. Was much larger than the A wave. That's the risk you run. Trying to pick a bottom. Now, what we need to see. We need to see this rally back up. Get through the roadmap line. Make some sort of attempt at the 618 and a retrace. At 618 going to be a bit lower. No. Yeah, just a little bit lower. Not much right there. So this is the resistance zone. Spotify right there. So first resistance, roadmap line. Second resistance right here. If we can get on the upside of that, new higher prices. If we reject off that, could be an A wave, bigger picture, a B wave, bigger picture, and a C wave, bigger picture in store. Doesn't matter right now though. In GME, this thing. It's on its march down to the lows, it looks like. Down, pop, down, make another pop, down. Probably going back to the bottom eventually. UPS laying off a ton of people. Layoffs are bullish, but that's an ABC into resistance right there. We already identified that potential. Boom, boom, boom. Trend is down. Continuation down. Be careful. If this turns down through the roadmap line, we're going lower low than what we made back here. If we can get through this uptrend up through the 125 area, could potentially start the recovery on the stock price. But right now, this looks like a retrace and a continuation lower. Trend is down. This would be the retrace. We're right to that C target I put on here. And continuation will be right down in here. Simple as that. SLB. And go for it, baby. So we've got the, check this out. We've got to move up, got to retrace, and a potential break above the 618, move up higher. And let's do a couple of fib line things. Yeah, it didn't quite get deep enough. I'm not sure that's going to play out. So back to this one. That looks like what we got for now. 69.75. If we can get above that, bigger retrace. Could take us up to 162. That's one to watch out for. Yeah, that's the right SLB. Fermi. I don't have a lot to say about Fermi. Kind of think we're going down. Jack looking for it to be a positive bounce, but the way this is arcing off reminds me a lot of Circle. See how this bounced and then started arcing off, and we're back to the lows almost. Bounced, but then faded, and now probably going lower low. For me, looks like we're doing that. Swift bounce, came up to the gap down, and we're starting to bleed it. And it wouldn't surprise me to bleed it right back down to a lower low, possibly down to 5. It's just classic price action. And DOCU, DOCU, fingers, bright order, please. So we're down in a potential bottoming zone. If we get more continuation, next fibs down, 54, 52, 44. Gonna suck a little bit, but I have a put option to add at 53 for my position. I am in up here at a 70 or 69 cost basis. 69, I do believe it is. And I will add at 53 on a drop. I have 300 shares up here. I will add 100 here. And if we continue down, I'll add more down here. So we got cooking right now. Potential for this to bottom here. It did invalidate the 5 up scenario. So it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4. As long as we were holding up here, just above the high here. 5 potential, but then we broke down, overlapped. So now this looks a bit like 3 up. And guess what? Continuation could be down. Turn down, 1, 2, 3 up, and we could be down here. 37. Lower low. That could be DOCU. EMB. Here's the high, here's the low. Look for this to get a close above the 67 level for a 71.50 target. An EMB, KMI. It's at the target right there. Watch for the retrace. This is not one that trends very much. Just kind of, we get trending moves and then we pause for a long time. And then, trend down, pause for a long time, trend up, pause for a long time. So we're in a pause right now. I don't know, there's much going to happen there. APA. Man. I got punched in the face. Big picture low, big picture high, big picture retrace. So that qualifies for a measured bounce. If we're going to be super spicy on the next move, which resistance coming up here, that level. We get through that, set the potential for a rally up here on APA. Moving on. Oh, I just skipped the chat all the way to the bottom. That was super awesome. And RCAT, RCAT. And 1925 upside on that one. RDWR. DWR. All right, Bubbles. You're not waiting for other people, so GFS. And here's the high, here's the low, hitting the targets. Bigger picture. 3-wave move up. Coming into resistance. If we can get to 56, it could signal a kind of a change in direction here. But right now we're still in a downtrend. Still got lower highs coming across here. Still underneath that. So be careful. Watch out for that downtrend line. And GDX played out to the upside. How high? Be careful. Book profits. LRCX. And if this bigger picture bounce is going to play out, more hugely. You know, we've already busted through the 1448, the 1272, the 1618. Next one up, 267 at the 2.272, 2618, 338. And that's what we got on that one so far. Jump back to RWDR. And three-wave retrace. Bounce off the roadmap line. Get above the 27 area. 32 on the upside. And I did RDW, I thought. Maybe not. Red wire. So we hit the downside. That's 618, 123. Beautiful. Bouncing up. Looking for this to get through this 618 resistance here. This gap fill. We can get above that. Got a 33 initial target and a potential bigger move up here in this zone right in here. So resistance here. If we can get through that, potential for here and there. RDW. There's not much to it. Like, it's on the roadmap line. Looking for the bounce. 77.82. And W. Oh, there's the downside target. Not quite there yet. Made a lower low. Could be done. Could be bouncing. Maybe came up shy. Maybe truncated. Yeah, Goose has a theory of truncation, but it's been pretty down since that last split. So I'm thinking we're going to push down to 100 probably. In the low hundreds, maybe 105, 120. And then maybe be able to find a bottom there. Looking at a bigger picture support. Yeah, that'd be perfect to find the support right there. Yep. 109 would be the ideal spot to bounce. Could push on down to 90, but unlikely at this point for NOW. And go back to AVGO. So it's possible. I talked about this quite a bit on Market Masters. This is possibly done. It did a 1, 2, 3, ABC, however you want to look at it. C, kind of weak. Usually we'll see it go bigger. The B wave didn't come up to the 618 though, so lackluster B, lackluster C, and potential that that's done. If we break back above this area right up here where we gap down, cruising on up 429. If we do rally back up there and turn down, it would set up a bigger potential move down over here. And CMG. So it came up to the roadmap line from underneath and promptly stopped. I think consolidating right there, trying to work its way through that. If we get through, probably going to be rallying on up to the next gap fill area. I got put at 49. I added more down here at 31, I think it was, maybe 32. Cost base is sitting at 44 right now. That's just above my cost basis. That alert. Looking for this to bust on through, rally back here, and get the upside target, which at this point would be 77 up here. So I'm looking for this to get back through the 618 and do the big rally. I have like 600 shares at this point. And a move from 43 to 77 would be a massive upside. I make like 21,000 shares on that. And thanks for all the hearts. Whichever subscriber doing that one. IE. Usually it's my niece doing that when I see the hearts blast another. There's the retrace. The last retrace. The last Mohican. And we're at resistance, possibly up to 23. Bigger picture. That's probably what we got. That's the lowest low. First move up, retrace. Next move up, retrace. Double check one thing. Yeah, we could have a resistance at 24. There's potential. This is at A, B, C, and we stop there and turn down again. Downtrend, retrace. See, the problem is we don't know what the chart was over here. Like it started out bearish in a correction, made a lower low, then the IPO. But what was the chart over here? Did it come up into this or did it come down into this? We don't know. It wasn't public. So this three-wave up could spark another move down. Just be cautious on that one. And can't remember shit. CRS just keeps grinding. Grinding. That high, that low. You know, we're at the 1618 again. Shot for the next retrace is the only guidance I have there. Yeah. How high can they go? And keep going. Trend pullback continuation trader. I need the pullbacks to get the continuations. And then let's see, SNDK. Got about 10 minutes before we switch over to the members only stream. Just a reminder. Just played out. It's a lot like everything else. WDC played out. STX played out. MU played out. A lot of these are just crazy. And what happens when they run out of gas? They start chopping around. So, you know, this one played out and started chopping. So be careful. Once the AI plays run out, where's the downside? ROMB. Yikes, man. That looks like a pretty bad chart right there. Not sure. Are they jumping into some sort of Bitcoin stuff, or I mean, not enough chart to do much with for you. Very choppy. What's the liquidity? Crap liquidity. You be careful on here. Be careful on that one. FUTU. Back to the roadmap line. Look for the bounce. It did move above the 618, so 210 is the target, but the stop is $1 below the low, down around 152. There's the high, there's the low. That was the activation, and retrace to the roadmap line. Secondary bounce, similar to Amazon. Amazon back up here and looking to pop, but you know, activated, retraced, potential to go higher. So be careful on that one. And GE. Back to the roadmap line. Didn't touch though, similar to last time. So 4-hour chart. Here's the high, here's the low. If we can bounce back up through the 313 area, 335 upside. Otherwise, daily roadmap line would be the downside target right here. And let's see. IE. Yeah, I covered that one already. ABC potential on IE. And so ILMN. So for a long time, I've been looking for this to potentially keep going down. Getting back up to resistance here. It's kind of a flip point on the chart. If we get above that, we could start going higher again, but big picture, this might keep going down. Not convinced we're done yet. That was a big move up off the low. Could use a bigger retrace. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't go higher over here. This be the whole first move down, which means that this move potentially would be bigger off of the 618 retrace. So still net effect coming down in here. So could rally on up to 240, 360 area and still continue down to like 36 or 21 even. Be a big bummer, I'm sure, for anybody long that one. GMU is at ridiculous levels. Be careful. Probably going to retrace. We rode this from like down here at 100 up to 200. Double, and I jumped off because this is starting to be crazy. But crazy and keep getting crazier. Korea 3 bull, 3x bull on Korea has, I can't remember the FX, is it FXZ? More about this fund. EWY, FXZ, EWY. FXI was what I was thinking about, China. And more about this fund. SK Hynix. Won't let me pull up the chart. Lame. There it goes. This thing is rocking and rolling. So this company stepping in where MU decided not to sell retail RAM anymore. This company working a deal, going to sell to everybody as much as they can. Trump even getting concerned and throwing out higher tariffs on South Korea today. Launch off right there. So this company makes RAM, and I bought a lot of Hynix RAM over the years. So rock and roll. And if you wanted exposure to that, KORU, the 3x leverage way to play, and the EWY is a way to take advantage of that. Moving on. NNE. That hit a high. Watch out for a deeper retrace here. Stalling out at the roadmap line. Not my favorite to see. Here's the, if we get that, yeah, look at that same move. So resistance at 42, 43, 70 if we get above it. We bounce off of it, down to 14 potential for NNE. And XLE, thought I already covered that one. Yeah. XLE, upside target 51. CSCO, and we talked about the other Cisco this morning. SSY or SYY, somewhere in here. Anyway, Cisco finally got it all back. You've been holding for 30 years. You're finally back, baby. Finally back, right in the vicinity of all-time high. Can we break higher? 88.40 upside target. And nerds. That one looks a little funky. If we break back through 1450, 1680 on the upside. If we break down, 1, 2, 3 up. This is the caution here. That turned down at a point where we could have a downtrend, retrace. Trend is down, retrace 3 waves, continuation, down. Caution on that one. Caution on the play. We've got about a minute 30 left. If you are just a subscriber, we're about to switch over to members only stream. Ask me anything. If you want to join us, click the $sign button underneath the video there. Become a channel member. Otherwise, I'll be back. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9:15 tomorrow morning. We'll do kind of a similar thing, except I build the list and I look for opportunities and kind of show you and give you my expectation for the day. So that's what we do every morning. Come hang out with us in the morning. Otherwise, I'll see you later. Thanks for coming. And AXTI, probably going to retrace. That's what I would bet there. And maybe back test that breakout. If we're going to hold on to it, it's possible we can go higher from there, but didn't really get much extension there. XTI, PHAR. Yeah, it's real choppy. The pharmaceuticals. Yeah. Not a fan of pharmaceuticals. Not gonna have much to say here. Hitting targets 23, 34 next upside. PPLT still hit the 270. Retracing a little bit. Or 260, I guess. Hit that 260 fib. 262. Hit that fib line. There's the market back open for the futures. Potential retrace, retest the back breakouts, and possibly support there, possible support here, and this is a game of Thrones. Can you stay on it?